Hello, this is Mr. Green with Cannabis Independent with Colin Sowney of New Haven, Connecticut. And we're here today actually talking about some of the bills and some of the things that are happening in Connecticut, legalization and then the movement. Now, Colin, I understand that you work with and closely in conjunction with NORML and are trying to get a couple different movements going on to kind of promote the recreational use of cannabis.
Yeah, in the state of Connecticut, we're definitely looking at some current and upcoming bills. The session will be over shortly, but it is important to get as many groups in the state of Connecticut all working
in conjunction.
Yeah,
exactly.
For one cause. You know, the state of Connecticut right now is a hotbed for legalization. In my opinion, we're going to benefit. Connecticut would benefit the most from legalization, Mr. Green, just through the location of it within the central area around New England and the Northeast Pacific.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're pretty much the connector route. I mean, unless you went up through New York, we're pretty much the connector route for most of New England to kind of get through New York and into New York without having to take the New York Thruway, the whole state.
Yeah.
So for Connecticut, it would really boom the economy and kind of bring people back. It would create the jobs in our state that we really need. You know, they're doing, how many state cuts have they made this year?
I think I just heard Governor Malloy mention he's going to be cutting 2,000 jobs.
That's ridiculous, but we have a crop that can produce a new streamline of revenue for our state, and there's nothing that they're going to do about it.
For example, if they legalized hemp, and it has nothing to do with getting high or medicine. If they legalize hemp just for agricultural use, we could replace those 2,000 jobs he's looking to cut.
Oh, exactly.
It's an amazing thing.
And how many different products can you produce from hemp alone? I mean, just
from
hemp.
paper to clothing to airplane parts to houses.
Yeah,
hempcrete. I just saw a study with hempcrete. They had the fire on it for 6
and
hours.
And it didn't burn. It didn't go down. I mean, these are virtually self-sustaining, ecological walls that we're creating instead of building concrete and kind of destroying our culture, you know.
And one field of replenishable hemp apparently consumes more CO2 out of the atmosphere than something like an acre of forest land. And that's, you know, a forest would take years to get up, and an acre of hemp, you do it every year. And you get to reap the benefits of the reward of what you're getting back out of it.
You know what I found interesting? I just watched something about fracking in the oil industry, about that they knew back in the 40s, right? That oil burning, there's a massive effect of CO2 that's come since the 1940s, but they're just now kind of admitting fault in that the CO2 rising levels. Now it's interesting that who was it that actually kind of made hemp production illegal?
Well, apparently, if you look at history right now, Harry Anslinger was department head of, I believe it was the upcoming DEA.
Yeah, the Narcotics Bureau of Investigation or something.
There was I forget the exact name of the organization, but it started with I believe the Narcotic Act of 1914, but then it culminated with 1937 and the prohibition of cannabis and most other drugs, I believe, as well as alcohol, which they realized very quickly were going to fail at prohibiting alcohol.
And it's funny that they just switched alcohol. I mean, they literally switched alcohol with cannabis and made alcohol illegal, but considered cannabis a highly calling it marijuana as a racial slur for those that are Latino because of political affiliations, because of racial spite that people have had from 30 years ago, and we still use the term today.
Yeah,
this cannabis is called medical marijuana. They're still using that stigma in the terms. I mean, that's why we're called Cannabis Independent. I don't like the term marijuana because of its history and use as this racial downturn. And what were you going to say?
Well, marijuana is a term, exactly. It was coined during a movement to prohibit marijuana use, cannabis use. And during a movement, they were making up certain terms and claiming different things like the black man is going to smoke marijuana and come and rape your white woman, or the Hispanic's going to smoke a bunch of marijuana and rob you blind. They're going to go hysterical around the world. This is all horrible, racism driven. Not only that, but the drug war itself just put a whole economy on hold. And now we put these people that would normally be patients, and we're calling them criminals and putting them in jail and treating them like second-class citizens.
The funny thing is that you said that the economy was on hold, but the production didn't stop. You know, we wouldn't have cannabis where it is today, I feel, if we didn't have that kind of desire to really promote a great product where you had to smoke less to get more high.
Right.
You know, I mean, we have products that are at what, 25, 30%?
Yeah,
I mean, and these are available in the dispensaries. Now imagine someone that's a professional that's been doing this for 20 years, imagine the production that they're gonna make.
Oh, absolutely. And weight is a huge thing too. I mean, in Connecticut, once again, I focus a lot with Connecticut and what's happening here in my state because I'm passionate about my state, the state of Connecticut. I've been here my whole life, and I'm hearing that according to the Connecticut State Office of Fiscal Analysis, is by the year 2020, there's going to be a $4.3 billion debt, and that's in the state of Connecticut alone.
4.3 billion, you said?
Yeah, that's with a B. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
Not only is that a lot of money, but for a guy like me, I'm a mechanic and a small business owner. I can't even fathom what $4.3 billion would be to manage, and how you would get to the position where you've lost that much money.
Where you owed that much money to somebody else.
Yeah, how many poor decisions have been made to put us in that position as a state? And I'm passionate about this because I don't believe that we should be in this position, especially when.
Funny is we have the solution in our hands, but our governor is opposed to it. Congress has kind of just passed it along. It's kind of like used just as a political platform, and it was put in, what, 3 weeks before the session ended?
Right.
I mean, there was no time to give this bill a chance. There was nothing that could really be done to really get it done this year. Now, I'm hoping next year we can go strong, and in the new session we can really bring this up first and get it pushed through before anything else, because this is a priority. If we have a $4.3 billion deficit, like they're saying, we can't take and afford not to seize the opportunity.
That's absolutely right. And Vermont legalized pot, first of all. Pot is legal in Vermont. The bill was passed by the Senate. Right now they're putting a stay on how they're going to introduce the product, the integration into the economy and into the citizens. But they have legal pot. They're going to very shortly. It's passed Senate, and all they have to do now is build a bill around it. They have to create laws. They have to write it up, and basically they've accepted that they're going to be legal. With information like that, Massachusetts just released a 120-page Senate report on the legalization of pot, and they're going to be voting on this in November. Rhode Island, the governor of Rhode Island's already agreed. Legalizing pot is probably the best solution for their state. We have Governor Malloy, who unfortunately is currently taking a big hit because of this deficit, because of his unwilling to keep industry within the state of Connecticut and chasing companies like GE out.
But he wants this fast track. We did get fast track.
Yeah, and then also in the state of Connecticut, we also have the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. And right now, they're going to be they stand to lose a lot of money because of legalized cannabis. Mm-hmm. And when the pharmaceutical industry starts losing money, it makes you wonder if they're actually paying Governor Malloy to prevent the legalization, because every sign you see points towards legalization being a reasonable option. Well, and it's going to be federal soon. Right. The state of Connecticut's going to miss the boat. And while I can understand that Governor Malloy does not want to be known as the guy who legalized pot in Connecticut, I think it's more important to not be known as the guy that ran the state into the dirt.
Yeah. I mean, I've never heard of a $1 billion debt in any state. Yeah. I mean, name a state that you know off the top of your head that's projecting a $4.3 billion debt.
It's ridiculous. I mean, there's anecdotal information that by the end of 2016, this year, if there's not changes made, it will be almost $1 billion in itself.
And cutting, I mean, honestly, trying to cut losses and cut funding and cut this and cut that isn't going to do it. You're not creating revenue. You're not building a new product. You're not doing anything that's going to really stimulate a growth.
You're putting Band-Aids on wounds.
Yeah, you're just trying to cover up a mortal wound. That's like putting a Band-Aid on your femur artery that's been cut. It's not going to do anything. You really got to get a surgery to cover the wound. You need something that's going to fix the problem.
Well, and here's the thing. The problem's been there for so long that now it's become infected.
Mm-hmm.
And you need more than surgery to just seal this. You need to go in there, cut out the infection, change the whole anatomy of the situation.
Yeah, we're talking on a federal level. I mean, even Bernie Sanders, a strong supporter of Bernie Sanders.
Same here.
He's talking about really reinventing the government because it needs. I mean, we need it, and I mean, there's even rumors that Anonymous, the hacker group, is actually running for president.
Oh,
They are running for
that's
president
great to believe.
because if it's Clinton or Hillary or Clinton or Trump or Clinton and who is it?
Hillary
Cruz.
Clinton, first of all, she is not a viable candidate. We have to remember that President Clinton at the time, first of all, four of our previous presidents have smoked pot. Obama, Bush, Clinton, and Kennedy, and they all admitted to it. And wouldn't it have been horrible to wind up any one of those four characters in jail and make them ineligible to be great leaders that they had the potential to become? That's very important to remember these things. But with President Clinton and Hillary Clinton at the time, I think that they were more or less just puppets for what I believe that the GOP is. The GOP, I think, is being financed by the underground drug trade. In fact, I firmly believe that they are directly financed by the illegal
I mean, there's
trade
too
of
much
opium.
taxes. There's too much taxes that
And
they're
it's
not
not going to
paying.
the right
I mean,
places.
imagine the amount of money that we're losing in the illegal drug trade. Look at the amount of money that they're saving. I mean, they're not paying taxes. They're only just making pure profits, and they don't have to worry about anything when it comes to really the structures in which we operate business. So they can sell dirty heroin. They can sell laced weed. They can really damage exactly, and it brings people back.
Yeah, better profit margins. If you listen to any pharmaceutical company, they'll tell you that's what's paying the bills is the profit margins. Insurance companies are paying huge profit margins, hundreds of dollars for a $50.
But the business structure, as I've learned, is very complex, and I've learned that it really is. I mean, as a corporation, you have to make profits. If you don't make profits, you can be
Nobody wants
sued.
to work for free.
Exactly.
And
So
the black market industry is actually a lot bigger than people think. There's anecdotal information, and it's unfortunate that you can't get a solid number on this because people don't.
because it's
admit to it.
underground. I mean, how do you?
$350 million per year in the state of Connecticut alone in the sale of marijuana. $350 million. That's basically like saying, hey, state, you're missing out on $350 million worth of taxable, regulatable income where you can earn some money out of that. And the state's basically saying, you know what, we don't mind if you're going to continue to sell it illegally because, quite frankly,
You can't stop it. You can't stop it. It's like fighting.
especially if you're allowed to hold a quarter ounce of weed on your person at any time. So now the state supported the fact that you can carry about a quarter ounce of weed on you, but they're not telling you where you should pick this up. So now they're supporting black markets, cartels, and like you said, you may have a laced product or something with pesticides out in Colorado.
Heavy metals.
Yeah, you don't know what this
Yeah.
stuff is. Once again, cartels and black market are truly 100% profit driven, and they will stop at nothing to make sure that they give you the heaviest product that you will find is acceptable.
Yeah.
So they can make their money. Bernie Sanders is a great thing. There's Jeffersonian, it's called, I believe, Jeffersonian democracy. And if you support a revolution, and a lot of people talk about revolution, they say, you know, hey, stand up, stand up. The most
Actually,
important
I
thing
did
is-
coin a term. I believe that there needs to be a canolution.
Very good, Mr. Green. That's a good one, a canolution, you're right. The first thing that anybody has to do, and a lot of people forget this, is register to vote. If you're not registered to vote, your opinion don't matter. In fact, if you're going to sit there and tell me and complain, and when I ask you if you're registered to vote, and you say no, don't be surprised when I shut you off, walk away, because you know what, you can complain all you want.
Thankfully, Facebook did give me a link to actually register to vote
Yeah.
right online.
Yeah.
So everybody on Facebook definitely register to vote for this primary and for the general election. This is the tipping point right here is where
Absolutely.
everything happens. If we elect Clinton, it's over. If we elect Trump, it's over. There's we will have no hope as the 99%.
I can be honest with you. I think that anybody that supports cannabis supports Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
The guy's got huge turnouts. They're not publicizing it. They're not televising it. It's very unfortunate that they're going through this stuff. But at the long and short of it, they're not going to be able to stop him. The guy's got huge momentum, way more than Hillary.
And I mean, he's come up, like he said, 70 points. I mean, he was down by 70 points at the beginning of this election. And now they are neck and neck. And
people are
really
sick and tired of being pushed around.
And I've heard, I just watched videos last night, and I've been hearing evidence. There has been voter fraud, I mean, nationwide. Starting from Massachusetts, going all the way into Arizona, Iowa, Colorado, and And I wonder not only what's going to happen in the New York election, but they're coming to Connecticut as well. So I wonder what's going to happen with the Connecticut primary and the effects, because if it continues to happen, you know it's systemic. You know it's happening, and there's something that needs to be done. And I'm not trying to say it's Klan. I'm not trying to say it's anybody. I'm just saying that if it's happening state by state by state, there's something that's going on, and something needs to be found out. I don't care how powerful a person is. They cannot mess with the voice of the people, because we are the reason that they are there.
Only if we're registered to vote.
Yeah.
If we're not registered to vote, we're just as useless as the dirt we walk on, because you don't.
But then
your
to
voice
close
doesn't
them off, because someone could register to vote, but they might be registered independent. They might be registered as Green Party, and they can't vote in the primaries. Thankfully, I just recently registered, never registered before, so I actually registered Democrat just to make sure I could vote for Bernie Sanders.
I'll be honest with you. Currently, I'm still registered Green Party, and I'm beginning to look at this as possibly a mistake on my part right now. But that's why we go through life, and as long as we can identify these mistakes, look back and
learn from
changes.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes.
But honestly, to be frank, even the two-party system definitely has its flaws, and it doesn't help, because even with the cannabis movement, one party always has the ability to stop the other. And even with a Republican majority Congress, I mean, what has really been done by the Congress? Anything that the Democrats put forward, because the Republicans are a majority, it doesn't do anything. It just kind of dies in the water. And I'm just curious, kind of, if we don't secure the Democratic, if we don't really secure not only the Democratic or Republican, but really people that are about the people, like senators, and that are really there to help with the voice of the people, because that's what they're there for. They're not there to get kickbacks. They're not there to get friends with benefits and whatever is going on.
They're there to be our voice.
Exactly, and that's their duty.
So legalization of pot in the state of Connecticut is very important. We're getting off track here, going right into politics, but with pot and the history of pot and the life of pot, and Connecticut's an agricultural state.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize this. It's called Georgia of the North. Really? Connecticut fought for slavery during the Civil War.
Of course we did.
All that's well and good history now, but we are an agricultural state, and welcoming hemp back to Connecticut would be like introducing an industry of possibly up to those 2,000 jobs that they're talking about cutting.
And then imagine when they do actual cannabis and they actually start regulating that. So we'll have hemp on top of cannabis, really producing more jobs and stimulating the growth that our state needs.
They recognized that causing alcohol to be prohibited was a failure. It perpetuated crime. There were criminals running rampant. Look at, that's the highlight of gangsters. Yeah, it was I mean, come on. I mean, I know we idealize this time in our history, but we really shouldn't. We should look at it as a dark moment and say, wow, we've been doing this with cannabis for how many years? In fact,
75, I've heard?
Yeah, exactly. It's been since, 1937, but if we've been doing it with cannabis for that long, we've also been doing it with all the other drugs. Now, while cannabis is a great stepping stone towards legalization, a greater outlook needs to be looked at. A different way of looking at addicts and understanding who they are needs to be addressed. Addicts are being treated currently in the United States of America as criminals. We lock them up.
Profited on.
Right. We lock them up. We push them away. You find out your brother's using. Let's say you find out your brother's using cannabis. He's using cannabis. Next thing you know, oh, he's a loser. You got to push him away, lock him up, treat this guy, get him off the cannabis. The guy maybe got caught smoking pot once a week. These people aren't addicts. This is a guy that maybe was going to be angry or something. You're talking about a housewife who goes through a lot of stress trying to raise 4 children that at the end of the day might smoke a joint. You don't deserve to treat these people like criminals. Yeah, exactly. And some of the most brilliant minds of our history, some of the most intelligent people, some of the most well-regarded artists, musicians,
pioneers.
Exactly.
Steve Jobs, he tripped on acid when he came up with the iPod.
They are all great people, and they were all users of some sort of drug at one point or another. We can't keep treating these people like criminals. We need to treat them like patients. We need to treat them like members of society.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Mr. Green.
Thank you, Colin. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate it too. Thank you very much.
So this is Mr. Green. Thank you, and stay elevated.
Rock on.
So This is Mr. Green with Cannabis Independent, and we're back here with Colin Sowney of New Haven, Connecticut. So, yeah, Colin and I were actually just discussing about, proper medical marijuana education, pretty much the 101 for those that are kind of just starting out or just realizing that we have a medical marijuana program. Connecticut has had the medical marijuana for 3 years now, 2 years?
2012, I think it was introduced, yeah, and we just got our dispensaries at the 2013, was it? Yeah, it was a rough road, but we've got some good product now.
Yeah, and I had actually attended a course saying that Connecticut was still using homogenized, which, what is homogenized cannabis?
They were offering a pre-ground product in the state originally when they came out with their program, which I guess is understandable for any new business. It was pre-ground. It was sold to us as pre-ground product. Unfortunately, that does degrade quickly, and also there's very little ways of regulating what you're getting as far as a strain. It's important to understand that there are different strains of marijuana that offer different effects, as well as different species, from indicas to sativas and everything in between. And their effects can be different, and consuming these things as an inexperienced user can oftentimes lead somebody to panics of anxiety or bouts of anxiety or sometimes other debilitating, seemingly debilitating conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Side
Now,
effects.
when dosing, they should definitely consult the dispensary technicians, definitely ask for advice and help. But also when you're at home and taking the products, you suggest, and I definitely suggested as well, that they use someone that's experienced, that's used the product or knows the product, so that they can make sure that you're not having a negative reaction, that you're not going to freak out, and make sure that you're properly dosing. Because, if the first time you're going to take a 20 milligram cookie because you don't want to smoke it, you might have a very negative reaction, which you need to be aware of. So if you have someone there that's been there before, been there with you, then they can understand and explain to you what's going on, so you're not having a panic attack and calling 911 from overdosing on edible. Because you cannot overdose on cannabis. Cannabinoid receptors that are in your brain are not linked to your brain cell, and they don't cause you to stop breathing like opiate-based receptors do.
Right. Cannabis will never kill anybody.
Never has, never will.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get maybe a panic attack. And that's usually self-perpetuated. You might go to sleep, catch a nap.
I've eaten one or two and passed out. Trust me.
Smoke a sativa and you might mow your lawn.
Yeah.
It might be the best job you ever did that day too.
So the dispensary technicians are legally not allowed to tell you what to smoke. So they can't recommend this product specifically or that product specifically, but they will suggest what works for them, kind of what to expect. So if you're going to smoke a sativa dominant, such as Citron, Lexicon, Setiverin, a lot of them are named that you can really pick your own medication for what you need. So if you have trouble sleeping, you can get something that would help with that. If you need to get something that'll wake you up, that'll start your day right, you can get something for that. If you need something that'll kind of just help with pain and kind of help you relax a little bit, they have other strains for that, and they have a variety of products. So it's not just the flower. You have oils, concentrates, edibles.
There's everything.
Sprays.
A lot of people don't realize sometimes also when you get these oils that are a lot of times they're dabbed, quote unquote dabbed, you can take that, you can flatten it out and put it on the roof of your mouth, and you can experience what a lot of people call as a narcotic effect, similar to painkillers. And it'll affect you. It affects people much differently to consume.
No way. So you're saying like a shatter or something? I could do
Yeah,
that.
if you paste it to the roof of your mouth, you'll get an oral effect from it that a lot of people will say is much like a painkiller.
Do you know the dissolve rate? So we'll have to sit there for a couple minutes?
I'm sure it would have to, depending on whether or not it was orally activated and decarboxylized. With cannabis, there's a lot of different processes that it goes through before we get it as consumers, and once again, it's important to make sure that you consume at a rate that is responsible. And if you are just an inexperienced user and you just got into this program, or this is the first time you're going to be smoking pot, please make sure you do experience this with somebody who is an experienced user, somebody who will be able to sit with you and watch out for any negative side effects and basically hold your hand, because you don't want to sit there and smoke. That's the first time. You don't want to sit there and, like you said, eat a 40 milligram cookie. You don't want to smoke a whole joint to yourself.
Yeah.
You want to enter.
You won't enjoy that. You
Yeah,
won't
no.
get the benefits of the medication.
Well, you may enjoy it, but
Yeah.
odds are you might have a negative reaction,
Yeah.
or a negative reaction to the side effects. You want to start off slowly. Maybe take a hit, wait 20 minutes or so. Make sure that it suits you. And there's also different products that may suit you better. Dealing with cannabis is a whole different industry. A lot of people are embarrassed about it. A lot of people don't like to open up about it. A lot of people are embarrassed to say, hey, listen, let's sit down, let's take a couple hits of this joint, have a conversation. Make sure it's in a comfortable place. The worst thing you can do about when you're consuming cannabis is be in an uncomfortable location. And that goes with any drug. You don't want to consume any drug in an uncomfortable location. At that point, panic attacks, anxieties, all these side effects start to become astronomical. If you suffer from social anxiety, don't choose the one day a week you go out to have fun to smoke that joint. It may make the anxiety worse. Wait till you're comfortable at home experimenting with the drug to get comfortable using it prior to indulging in the 40 milligram cookie or doing big huge bong hits with your friends.
Yeah, definitely, and especially as for the inexperienced, understand that there are different things that will also contribute to the effects, such as like they use lecithin. I can't.
Oh, lecithin is a thinning agent within some of the oils?
As like an emulsifier, for
okay.
the oils to be able to actually bond to not only the food and the water in the product, but also to bind in your stomach well and help you get more.
Well, they call it it's lipoactive. It's creating a lipoactive compound with the cannabinoid, and I find it weird they used lecithin. A lot of in the medical industry, in the underground medical industry, unfortunately, they'll use coconut oil as a great binding agent. A lot of different things, avocado oils, olive oils. They use a lot of.
I've heard sunflower. They do use sunflower as well.
Yeah. Peanut oil. Any oil is a great transfer. I guess I'm not a doctor, but I'm told the word it makes the compound more lipoactive, which I guess means it makes it more available to lipids and
and to pass into your body. It's used as an emulsifier because oil and water don't mix.
Right.
So it's kind of like you said, the binding agent is what lets the water bind with the oil.
The funny thing is, with the cannabinoids, THC, mostly delta-9, and all other cannabinoids are oil soluble, or solvent soluble, I guess would be the term. You can use alcohols, butanes, CO2, stuff like that. The funny thing is, there's a cannabinoid called THC8. It's actually 8-hydroxide delta-9. This is the only water-soluble cannabinoid within the plant, and it's also proven to be over 1,000 times more potent than THC9.
Okay.
Which is, this is a stated fact, and it's backed up by many articles in the National Institute of Health. So that THC8 is water soluble, and it's more potent than delta-9 THC, and a lot of people discount that compound.
We'll have to see. I mean, we have to understand that there is no real viable research on cannabis and all the cannabinoids and in-depth research because it's been prohibited for so many years. That we're now 75 years behind in research, and we could have had all this information, but because of a stigma and because of this repetitive cycle of prohibiting this plant, we don't have the viable research, so we can't really answer the question. So as the information gets out there, we at Cannabis Independent intend on telling you all the facts of what's going on with cannabis. So right now it's still at its infancy. There's no federal funding allowed until they reschedule marijuana, because right now it's Schedule 1. It has zero medical value. Though 24 states feel as though it has medical value and have medical marijuana programs now established. So it's kind of a contradiction of the facts, and the DEA is supposed to be holding rescheduling, but this has been kicked down the road so many times. I mean, I could just see it happening again. So really trying to just determine the medical value, you need to educate yourself. You can't just rely on any one source. We're going to be providing you all the sources, all the information that we have so that you can further your information, because this is all about educating ourselves and taking our notes, because what you find might work for you might work for someone else, and then on the same token it might not work for someone else. This is all subjective. This is all about us, but it's a plant. It's an objective plant, and it has its value.
Oh, it does definitely have its value, and people need to, identify that a lot of people should be using this product every day just because their bodies depend on it. With the cannabinoid system, it's becoming clear. It's crazy the amount of laws that we have to fight and go through and everything. And here in the state of Connecticut, we're facing the Bill 5236
Yes.
For legalization of cannabis for adult use. And there's always a few things they want to be involved in, but the bottom line is this product is going to be coming to the forefront of the marketplace. It is an industry that can't be denied anymore. Multi-billion-dollar industry. If you're going to be using this product, if you're going to be indulging in the use of this product, do it intelligently. Reach out to the community around you. Follow people around. Ask the right questions. Unfortunately, like Mr. Green has said here, there is no research being done. It's very difficult to find somebody that actually knows what they're talking about, so you're forced to go out and do this on your own. But as we've been learning from the current pharmaceutical industry, it may quite possibly be possible that your doctor doesn't really care about you. He cares about your money.
Yeah.
So becoming a independently intelligent person regarding the use of cannabis may actually benefit you more than you think.
And it might help that wallet, which is that, especially in this economic downturn and the things that are happening.
Oh, absolutely.
Every dollar counts, and if you can save thousands on prescription meds, you might as well. And I've heard that at 1 in 8, right, or 8 in 9 people when they start medical marijuana wind up getting off of close to, if not all of their pills, maybe with 1 or 2 left. But with that overwhelming majority, no wonder it's to be assumed and to be understood that Big Pharma is fighting this, because there's a patent. And I'll put the number up in the comments, but the patent 66 something, it's on cannabis. It's on the cannabinoids that has 7 or 8 different licensed treatments that it's used for. But they quote the health problems and the health concerns. So how can it be understood that there's health concerns but you'll patent it?
It's funny because in 2006 is when they put a stay on that patent, and it's a trademark and patent law done by our feds. Until 2006, you were able to patent cannabis names, cannabis products, marijuana. They found the serious problem related with this, with doing this, and they put a stay on it in 2006. So there are a lot of people out there that own patents also. There's independent people that own patents, and currently there's a lot of, in Israel they're doing a lot of research, and there are a lot of Israeli doctors that own American patents on individual plant characteristics.
Now I'm curious, alright, so breaking it down, looking at, okay, if you wanted to compare sour diesel to another sativa, is it the terpene cannabinoid balance that makes it specifically sour diesel or anything else? What is it that makes sour diesel and kush and
That's a great question.
See, and
I can bring you to a grow house that has sour diesel sativa growing right next to sour diesel indica. They have a similar flavor profile.
So it must be the flavor profile, is to be assumed, because with really nothing out there right now, I mean, even in black market, you don't know what you're getting. The guy could tell you it's a kush, but it might be a sativa sour diesel, and you would have no idea. There's no regulation, there's no understandings, there's nothing that determines this variety is this and this variety is this because it has X amount of terpenes, myrcene and limonene and all these
based on a flavor profile normally.
Yeah.
Which is all well and good, but unfortunately in the plant world you'll find that even if the sativas taste similar to the indica, you're going to get a different effect. So once again, it's important to be educated on the product.
Exactly. I was talking about variants. I was not talking about species such as sativa or indica. They have their own. Yeah. They have their own effects. But is it the the terpene blend that makes it its variant, because
Yeah.
I'm really finding zero facts on that. I mean, I've been looking into this for years now.
Yeah, and you're going to find that they make two plants, even if they're both, say you have Kush, just a straight Kush plant, and Kush A, Kush B, two different plants. Here's another funny thing. You can grow one way in, say, organic soil from a mountain. You can grow another one from the ocean. They're going to taste different.
Oh yeah,
And not only are they going to, because they taste different, they're going to offer different effects. This is, there's something in the pharmaceutical world. It's called functional selectivity. It's agonist trafficking also. What this does is it's basically your body's ability to individualize itself regarding a pharmaceutical. It's the reason that morphine might work for you, might not work for me.
Okay.
It's called functional selectivity. It's a form of agonist trafficking. Now, discounting home grow and not allowing patients to, or even consumers, recreational consumers, to not grow their own product is denying them their pharmaceutical rights. And it's actually creating a pharmaceutical refugee out of these people.
Yeah.
Because they are no longer, you can't expect the grow house to grow a single plant the way you require it to be grown. That would, I mean, if
They're not taking personal orders. They're just growing. They're growing a large quantity and just supplying it.
and that's a recreational market.
And they can't, exactly, and they can't really cater to anybody because, I mean, to get the usable marijuana, they have to produce a lot of plants. And it's all tracked, it's all kept track of, they know what they're getting. But, you know, if you need something specifically, you might not be able to get that unless you really specifically reach out to the grower and can work out some negotiation between you, the dispensary, and the grower to be able to facilitate you receiving this product.
And then you have to be able to.
But then other people need it as well. Exactly. They can't make money on it unless you're buying, pounds worth of it, because
to justify them growing.
because they need to provide it for everybody. They can't just selectively choose you. So it's a very difficult market. It's a very difficult thing. But to kind of get this thing wrapped up, a lot of our key points are: educate yourself. Don't just go on the word of any one person. Educate yourself, not only in research, but also in experience. Know what you're getting into. Make sure you're not going to eat too much of any product. You're not going to smoke too much that you might get a panic attack. But a key note, if you use black pepper seeds and crack it when you're having a panic or anxiety attack, it's actually found to help decrease the anxiety or panic attack. So that's because of the terpene blend. So we'll definitely get into that more in future episodes, and we'll talk about this more because this is an expansive research project.
Oh, there's a whole industry of naturopathy and
homeopathy and stuff. Exactly.
The Western world knows nothing about Eastern beliefs.
No, we don't. We don't really understand it because this is a whole civilization. This is a whole just societal thing. They treat life so differently.
Finding someone you can trust is difficult, but it is important. To find someone you can trust in the community, you need to reach out and not be embarrassed about the fact that you're interested in possibly consuming cannabis. Don't worry. Everybody does it, and everybody does it in the closet.
It's no longer a stigma. You're not doing it to get high. You're getting a benefit.
Right. You may want maybe you want to get a little high too, but you know what? It's still a benefit.
That's why you take Percocets, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why you have a drink at the end of the day. You know what? That's why you drink your coffee.
But there's more
coffee
benefit
is just
to
as much
it.
of a drug as anything else. It's a psychoactivation, and if you need it every morning, there's a chance you might be an addict also. And would you want us to lock you up in prison because you were drinking a coffee on your way to work in the morning?
I'm addicted to Mountain Dew, I won't lie. So
that doesn't make sense for us to lock you up for drinking Mountain Dew. What makes sense for us is to lock the people up that are producing the sugar. But that's another show for another day.
That's for the future. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and definitely be sure to like, subscribe, and follow our channel because we're going to be doing big things. So this is Mr. Green, casting out for Cannabis Independent. Stay elevated.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Colin Sowney, see me on Facebook.